Welcome back to the channel. I hope everything's going fine for you guys out there in the paddling world. As for me, on the outrigging side of things, there's plenty going on there. Got some good events coming up. On the dragon boat side of things, equally there's lots going on there as we wind down towards the end of the Wellington Dragon Boat kind of season. Between the two codes, of course, I'm getting plenty of water time, so I'm out there in my happy place any chance I can get. So at the moment, I'm really enjoying my paddling. Hope you are too. So this next video is really been rolling around in my head for some time now, and I've got a bit of quiet time, so I thought I would sit down and make this video, share it with you guys. I do believe it's an area that probably could be paid a bit more attention in dragon boating myself, and it's understandable that it's not, because the priority is really on what you're doing in the water and how you're doing it, right? But there's another part to our dragon boat game which I think is equally important, and that is what you're doing in the air when your paddle is not in the water. So this video is about this here, ear work. So let's have a closer look at this thing called ear work and what it is. So ear work is a term used to describe everything you're doing from the time your paddle comes off the back of its stroke to the time it goes in again at the catch. Everything in between is called your ear work, so everything above water. And it can include things like how you're moving your body into place to take that next stroke. It can include the tense, relaxed cycle that your body's constantly going through as you're paddling. It can include your breathing, of course. And perhaps the main thing I want to talk about here is the hang time of your paddle in the air and why that is so important to focus on. So let's have a closer look at that. Dragon boats don't move through the water at a constant rate. They surge off the back of each stroke. In other words, there's a short burst of acceleration after each stroke or during each stroke. Now you can see this quite clearly when dragon boats are coming out of the starting blocks and building up their speed towards the middle game of the race. And what you will typically see at the front of the boat, coming off the front of the boat, will be a bow wake. With each stroke, that bow wake flares up to a crest, and then as the paddlers come off the stroke and go through their ear work, that bow wave will settle down. And then as the paddlers come back in again and take the next stroke, the bow wave will flare up to another crest and down and so forth as they go through the race. Now that crest of the bow wake represents the maximum speed that boat is going to reach for that given stroke, right? For that particular stroke. And anything less than that bow wake, as it starts to fall away, what you're seeing there is, of course, the paddlers are now out of the water. They're going through their ear work to set up to take the next stroke. But as they're doing that, the bow wake is falling away. And what that falling away represents is the boat is starting to slow down, right? And there's a rule of thumb here that I like to apply. You're probably already very aware of it, but I'm going to say it anyway. And it goes like this. The time your paddle is in the air is the time the boat is starting to lose speed. The time your paddle is in the air is the time the boat is starting to lose speed. Now, dragon boats will have a bit of what they call run on after each stroke, or glide, right? But with a dragon boat, it very quickly starts to lose speed, right? So the longer you leave between strokes, the more speed you are actually losing, and the harder you're going to have to work on the next stroke to recover or to build that speed back up again. So while there is some glide, there is some run on, it's very quickly disappearing between each stroke. So what this tends to suggest then is that you want to take a deliberate, intentional focus on preserving as much of that speed in between strokes. And the way to do that is reduce the hang time of your paddle in the air. So how then do you go about reducing that hang time of your paddle in between strokes? Well, I'm afraid there's no easy answer to that. It's all about training, and even more training on top of that. But where it really starts for me is with a team, with a coach, or with a club that has a deliberate, intentional focus on their airwork. That's where it all starts for me. So how do I go about my own airwork? Well, I'll share some stuff with you that I've learned over the years, either through making mistakes, watching video, feedback, just being in boats that have quite a different approach to their airwork. And so I've learned a few things over the years that I think are useful, and I'm happy to share those with you. So one of the first things I try to do when I'm in a boat is lock into the rhythm and cadence of that team's airwork, right? It's no use you as an individual paddler having really slick airwork if in fact the rest of the team has a different approach to you around their airwork. It's on me to try and make that adjustment, and so that's what I'm looking for when I do get into a boat, especially a boat of other people that I may not have had a lot of time with, and I'm trying to look for their rhythm and cadence so that I can adjust my airwork to what they are doing as a team. So that's one of the first things I thought I'd share with you, adjusting to the rhythm and cadence of the team that you're in. In other words, dial up or dial back that airwork as necessary and in line with what you're seeing and observing around you at the time. So one of the other things that I have front of mind as I'm going about my airwork is this tense relax cycle I talked about a few videos back, where as paddlers we're tense through the water, come off the stroke, go into relax mode through the air, tense, relax through the air. Now it's easier to say that, but it's actually harder to do. You have to train your body into the cycle. And the reason why you want to be relaxed through the air is that you'll find your body can move faster through the air. If it's relaxed, you'll be able to set up faster if your body is relaxed. So it is something I try and do, but just keep in mind it doesn't come naturally. Even after some years paddling, I have to remind myself to loosen up through the air so that I can move more freely through the air, get set up, get back to the front quickly, and get ready to do the business. So that is being relaxed through the air. So one of the other areas I really do like to focus on in my own airwork is to be light and fast through the air. In other words, speed. So why the focus on speed through the air? Well, firstly, it's to, maintain as much of that speed that you've built up in the stroke you've just previously taken. Remembering our rule of thumb that the time your paddle is in the air is the time the boat is starting to slow down. So one of the reasons I like to be fast through the air is I'm looking to reduce that hang time, that lag time of the paddle being in the air. The other reason why I prefer light, fast airwork is, for me, speed carries momentum. And so if I'm light and fast through the air. In other words, if I'm setting my body up into position really fast, I'm carrying a lot of momentum, which I'm then translating down into the catch. I'm carrying a lot of speed and momentum, setting up for the catch and dumping it in the catch. So that's the other reason why I prefer to be fast through the air. Now, recognizing that if I'm in a boat that might not have that same focus or approach to air work, then I'm going to dial that down, right? I'm going to adjust or try and adjust to the rhythm and cadence of that team. But as a preference, as a pure preference, my default style of air work is to try and be really quick through the air. So there's a little bit about air work and how I go about approaching what I'm doing in the air. I hope there was something useful in there. If there was, by all means, please take it away and use it. The idea of all my videos is to start getting my thinking and the way I Dragon Boat out into the community. I'm very happy if anybody out there, even one person, takes away something and puts it into practice and finds that it makes them a better Dragon Boater. That's what all of this is about. So keep in mind with air work, of course, some of these races after 200 meters, 500 meters, 1000 meters, they're incredibly close at the finish line. They come right down to photo finishes. So if you are looking for any possible edge that you can get over your competitors, have a look at what sharpening up your air work could possibly offer you and your team. I believe there are time savings to be made there if you're prepared to put in the time and have a deliberate, intentional focus on air work. I'm sure you will see some great returns out of that effort. So I have a number of other videos to make, and the days are shortening up already. Summer, unfortunately, in New Zealand, Wellington, is starting to wind down. And the days are starting to have a bit of a cooler feeling about them. So I'll get on to making these videos because I want to get them out of my head and out there into the Dragon Boat community for anybody that finds any value in them at all. So until next time,